Hi there. Welcome back to Restart by Gordon Corman, and welcome back to my couch. We're still here. Just me and a cup of tea, and I don't know, you'll probably hear the laundry buzzer go off pretty soon, too. Welcome to the weekend at Miss Buckley's house. Pretty exciting, huh? All right, you know what is exciting? This book. Totally amazing. Aaron and Bear in the last chapter they've really gotten me thinking. I am not really sure, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the three of them did something really big and really bad, because Aaron and Bear seem very nervous about what Chase may or may not remember. They also seem very nervous about his new friendship with the war hero in room 121. Are those two things connected? Or is it just that they don't recognize the Chase that they used to? Or the Chase that they used to know. All right, we're on page 92. Chapter 12, Chase Ambrose. A few more memories have come back. Mostly it's just images and impressions, but there's one that's pretty concrete. My mother's been showing me a lot of old pictures in the hopes that something might ring a bell. That's a really cool piece of figurative language, guys. If something rings a bell, am I literally going to be listening for bells? No. What does it mean? You're exactly right. If something rings a bell, it means it's familiar to you. When someone says, hey, did you ever see that movie, blah, 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 and you're like, that rings a bell, meaning, yeah, that's kind of familiar. I kind of know what you're talking about. Means that it's familiar to you. So there's some cool figurative language. I want you to keep your eyes and your ears out open for some figurative language, some more figurative language in this book. There's tons. One snapshot of an ivy-colored building looks kind of familiar. It's the student union at Johnny's University, Mom explains. It triggers a flashback. It's not that I remember it, more like it's already in my head and I'm just noticing it now. Mom and 7th grade Chase are dropping Johnny off at college. Our car pulls around the long circular drive in front of the building in the photograph. Johnny gets out. His first day of his freshman year. His first time living away from home. He seems terrified. And what do I feel? Sympathy for my poor, scared brother? Or for Mom, who's on the verge of tears? For myself, even. I'll be losing my brother to a new life in a faraway place. I don't feel any of those things. Instead, I'm thinking, what a wuss this kid is. Can't believe I ever looked up to him. What a wimp. What a baby. My scorn is so sharp that it jolts me back to the here and now. How could I have made such harsh judgments about my own brother? When I was in the hospital, Johnny was there at my bedside every minute Mom was, just as worried about me, just as torn up by my accident. I guess that wasn't payback for the wonderful brotherly loyalty I've shown him over the years. People say I've changed. I'm barely beginning to understand how much. Dr. Cooperman isn't surprised that my memory is returning. My brain is totally fine, he says at my next appointment. After all, I remember everything that's happened since coming out of the coma. Not that it would be easy to forget things like Shoshana dumping frozen yogurt on my head, or Brendan going through the car wash on a tricycle, or how it felt to push Joey against the wall. A blur of violence, anger, and lightning-fast action. And something else, too. I may not be proud of it, but it's the truth. Satisfaction. I didn't like the way a situation was going, and I changed it with my own physical power. Aaron's words come back to me. You didn't have to attack him. And Shoshana, goon. That haunts me a little. I don't regret stopping Joey from bullying Brendan, but was fighting really the only way to make it happen? Worse, I didn't even consider trying to talk Joey down. I just grabbed the kid and manhandled him, the same way he was manhandling Brendan. If you manhandle someone, what does that mean? It's a weird word, isn't it? Yeah, if you manhandle somebody, you handle them roughly. You kind of jostle them around, you kind of snatch them up. Use physical force. I get that the old Chase could be like that before the accident, but now I'm starting to wonder if that person is still, we're on the next page, if that person is still inside of me, emerging from the darkness bit by bit, along with my memory. As weird as it was to lose my past, this might be even weirder. The more that comes back, the less I recognize myself. Dr. Cooperman also pronounces me as fully recovered physically. Then he drops the bomb. Ooh, another idiom. Does he literally drop a bomb? Everything explodes? No, what does that mean? What does that idiom mean, that figure of speech? If you drop a bomb on somebody. You're right. You drop some truth on them. Some unpleasant and unexpected truth. So then he drops a bomb. He still wants me off the football team for the rest of the season. I must have seemed pretty devastated because he adds, well, it's all out of an abundance of caution. You're fine, but concussions can't be taken lightly. We're learning new things about the long-term effects every day. I know you're disappointed, honey, my mom adds. I understand how important football is to you. How can I explain it to them? Sure, I'd love to play, but what really bugs me is that football is my biggest connection to my old life. I don't think I've had a single conversation with Dad that wasn't about either my past gridiron glories, those are football glories, or the one he still expects me to have. And since the incident with Joey, the only Hurricanes who will talk to me are Aaron and Bear. Even with them half the time, I get the impression that their main interest is just getting me as getting their team captain back. For sure, those guys are never going to forgive me for A, doing my community service when I don't have to, and B, not hating it enough. To be honest, I don't hate it at all. One thing no one ever tells you when you're laid up, like I was in the hospital, is how boring it is. You really appreciate anybody who comes to break the monotony. Monotony is boredom, doing the same thing over and over and over again. And so now I get to be that person for the residents of Portland Street. It makes me feel good about myself. And that's huge at a time when I'm learning I have much to feel bad about. Besides, I get stuff out of it too. I've learned how to play mahjong, and I've picked up a lot of great tips on how to grow stuff. Mostly from Mrs. Kitteridge, whose room looks like a botanical garden. I think I'm going to be able to save a lot of Mom's plants and maybe even the ficus tree in Helene's room, the one that she bought at her preschool flowers sale and is at least 98% dead. That'll make points with Corianne, who's losing her enthusiasm for the falling leaves and the tiny white bugs that are all over them. So check that out. He's making friends at the retirement home. I like that. I like that he's getting into it and he's learning from his elders. There's something to be said for that. As for Mr. Solway, despite the fact that I've been forgiven, despite the fact that I've forgotten most of what's happened to me, I feel confident saying that he's the coolest person I've ever met. Anyone who could jump onto an enemy tank, a moving enemy tank, throw open the hatch and take it out with a grenade. I'm going to reread that one because I just messed that up. All right, let's back up. As for Mr. Solway, despite the fact that I've forgotten most of what's happened to me, I feel confident saying that he is the coolest person I've ever met. Anyone who could jump onto a moving enemy tank, throw open the hatch, and take it out with a grenade has to be a pretty amazing guy. Mr. Solway doesn't see it that way. That's what I did, not who I am. If I'd bothered to think about it, I wouldn't have done it. I'm not that stupid. The sad part is that Mr. Solway can't find his Medal of Honor. Nurse Duncan thinks it's probably gotten misplaced during Portland Street's big repainting project, and it will turn up sooner or later. But he's convinced he flat out lost it. I haven't been as sharp since my wife died, he tells me. We never had kids, so we were the whole world to each other. She looked after everything, and I looked after her, he sighs. You can see which one of us did a better job. When she was gone, that's when my life pretty much... Oh, sorry, let's turn the page. That's when my life pretty much ended. This, and a sweep of his arm takes in the room, this is marking time. I hate it when he talks like that. Come on, Mr. Solway. You've got a good life here. Plenty of friends. He glares at me. Have you ever asked about me around this place? Old ladies on crutches do the 100-yard dash when they see me coming. I've got my own personal table for one in the dining room. The nurses call me Mr. Happy Face. They think I don't know because they'll assume I'm just as deaf as everybody else in this funny farm. I'm getting the sense that before my accident, I was a kind of a Mr. Happy Face at my school, I confide to him. Well, I could have told you that, he replied. When you first showed up here, you were just like those other two good-for-nothings. Maybe the worst of the three. Sometimes a whack on the head is exactly what a fellow needs. That's a pretty harsh thing to say to someone with amnesia. But that's just the way Mr. Solway is. He isn't being mean, he's being honest. He's lived a long time and been through a lot, and he doesn't feel like he has to pull any punches. I respect that more than anything. But that whack on a head cost me 13 and a half years of my life, I reminded him. Remembering is overrated, he assures me. You know that heroic act that earned me that fancy medal? I don't remember 1 second of it. The only reason I know what happened is from the report my captain filed with the headquarters. Page 97. Well, I guess when you get older, it's hard to hang on to every detail, I offer. He shakes his head. It isn't old age. It's looking into a T-34 tank after a grenade's gone off inside of it. Not a pretty sight. That was the medic's explanation anyway. You block out what you can't face. They were the enemy, I said gently. There was a war on. There's always an enemy. They're always the enemy when they're shooting at you, kid. But a dead man doesn't care what uniform he's wearing. I'm better off forgetting the whole rotten mess, medal and all. That's another thing I have in common with Mr. Solway. We're memory loss buddies. I wonder if I blocked out what a jerk I used to be because I can't face it. I don't think it's the same thing, though. Besides, my lost past has started to come back. I wouldn't exactly call it a tsunami of recollection, like a big wave of recollection. More like that water torture where the blindfolded prisoner feels a drip on his head just often enough to drive him crazy, anticipating the next one. I can't even be sure they're real memories. Blowing out candles at what would have been one of my birthday parties. A view of the Hollywood sign that might have come from our family trip to California, being crushed under a dog pile of football players. A flashback to one of my sports triumphs? Who can tell? My mind plays tricks on me. Last night I had a dream about cherry bombs going off inside of a piano, scaring some poor kid half to death, and I woke up in a cold sweat. Page 98. But when I checked in the school yearbook for a picture of Joel Weber, he wasn't the guy in my dream. That was no memory, just a product of guilty conscience. My theory is my brain invents fake memories of things I heard about because I'm trying so hard to remember stuff. I even had a nightmare from the Korean War, and for sure I was never there. I actually saw myself in uniform, climbing up the side of a tank like Mr. Solway did. I yank open the hatch and pull the pin on my grenade, but when the soldiers inside look up at me, I can't bring myself to drop it in on them. I just hang there, not knowing what to do, until the grenade goes off in my hand. Wow. Believe it or not, the impression from before my accident that seems the most the impression from before my accident that seems the most vivid is that little girl. Sometimes so much so that I feel like I should be able to reach out and touch the white lace on her blue dress or the red ribbon in her hair. I have to question whether she's any more real than the dreams. She never moves. She just stands there, looking at me, but off to the side somewhere. She must be important, though. She's the one image that was still with me when I woke up in the hospital. I wonder who she is. Bottom of page 98. School triggers a few more memories, too, but they're mostly random images and feelings of déjà vu. Déjà vu is a French term that it's this feeling that you have been there before, but in a dream. Like you're kind of reliving something you've already done, but it has this weird and eerie feeling that comes with it. So school triggers a few memories too, but they're mostly random images and feelings of déjà vu. There's nothing solid enough to be useful. I still don't really know the faculty, the kids, or the custodians. I'm just now learning my way around the building that I've been attending since the 6th grade. I obviously don't remember what a lousy student I was because my teachers are all so impressed with how well I'm doing now. Some of them seem like they're ready to faint when I actually hand in my homework assignment. Video club is the one place that's brand new to me because it actually is. We've collected a ton of footage for the yearbook. I'm lagging behind the other members since most kids run a mile when they see me coming. I always shout, "Brendan sent me!" so they'll know that I'm not looking for trouble. Mrs. DeLeo wants me to work on my interviewing skills because my subject seems so ill at ease or nervous. Yeah, no kidding. They're all waiting for me to pull their underwear up over their heads and stuff them into the nearest locker. At least the video kids are getting used to having me around, except Shoshana, who hates me for good and always. I can't blame her, even though I have no memory of what Aaron and Bear and I did to her brother. It's pretty strange to be despised for something that, in your mind, never happened. And to someone it seems like you've never even met. She stopped fighting with me directly. Mostly she takes pointed comments about how the club should have closed up membership while they had the chance. That's unfair because I'm not even the last to join. Kimmy got here after me, and if I'm a newbie, I don't know what you call her. She doesn't know a camera from a kumquat. You know what a kumquat is? It's a type of fruit, a tropical fruit. She doesn't know a camera from a kumquat. For her interview with the head cheerleader, she left the lens cap on so there was audio and no video. On her second try, she zoomed in so close that all you could see was a mouth talking. That's all it would be. I think Brendan has kind of a crush on Kimmy because he won't hear anything bad about her. Shooting a mouth but a no face is expressionism, and lens caps are too analog for the digital age. Whatever. Brendan's true love, though, is YouTube. This afternoon, he shows us his latest clip of a tiny goldfish bravely swimming against the pull of a bathtub drain while electric guitars roar in the background. Just as the struggling creature is about to be sucked away to his doom, a toilet plunger slams down over the drain opening, saving his life. Brendan pauses the video to scattered applause. I call it Plunger Ex Machina. Machina is like a machine, he announces grandly. Shoshana doesn't approve. You're wasting your time with this stuff. You should be helping me with my entry for the National Video Journalism Contest. It would be a huge boost to the club if we win. He brushes her off. The kind of internet traffic I'm trying to generate isn't going to come from the senior citizen reminiscing about the good old days. That depends on who we pick, Shoshana insists. Seniors have lived through amazing times and accomplished incredible things. We just have to find the perfect subject. Before I realize who I'm even talking to, I blurt, "You should talk to Mr. Solway over at Portland Street." Her angry eyes skewer me. That means stab me. I've contaminated her precious project with the sound of my voice. Another of my crimes against humanity, like bullying her brother and not dying when I fell off my roof. "Who's Mr. Solway?" Kimmy asks. "A hero from the Korean War. He was awarded the Medal of Honor. That's the highest award any soldier can get." "And how do you know someone like that?" Shoshana demands. It's obvious she doesn't believe a word out of my mouth. "I work there. Erin Barron me. It's our community service for..." My voice trails off. She, of all people, knows exactly what we're doing community service for. "He sounds perfect," Brendan agrees. "Maybe I can get him to ride a tricycle through the car wash," Shoshana retorts icily, coldly. "At least talk to the guy," Hugo prods. Mrs. DeLeo wades in to play peacemaker. "I know you'll find a way to make this school proud," she says to Shoshana. "And thank you, Chase, for a marvelous suggestion." Shoshana's cheeks darken through pink and red into full crimson, full red. I hope I never hate anybody as much as that girl hates me. So here we are. That was Chase's take on the truth. As he's remembering things, he's feeling worse and worse about himself. He feels like a stranger to himself. And truly, the only place that he feels welcome anymore is the video club, which is strange because he's not entirely welcome there. Chase is in a tough spot. I wonder what I would do in that situation. And I wonder if Shoshana will be willing to swallow her pride and go visit Mr. Solway. I don't know. She sure does hate Chase and everything that comes out of his mouth. We'll have to tune in to chapter 13, which is told from Shoshana's point of view. And let's see where the story takes us next. All right, guys. Enjoy. I'll talk to you soon.